There's another thing that I've been thinking about lately, and I've talked about this publicly at least a couple of times, I think like on webinars and stuff like that, but I don't think we had ever talked about it. But it's become something that I really want to help pro-life people to understand because, and this is kind of responding to that thing that you just mentioned, where the pro-lifer wants to be like, oh, you're trying to trap me. Like you've got these bad intentions. Of course, you would bring up the most extreme, emotionally difficult and strong. How dare you make your best argument you've got in your pocket? I see that a lot. I see a lot of pro-lifers that like, you know, they might not say this to the pro-choice person, but a lot of times like kind of behind closed doors is just like, of course they bring that one up kind of thing. And I want to give you another reason why it is good to give them the benefit of the doubt. Because one, I think they might not understand this is 1% of the abortions. But also, I think a lot of times pro-choice people, when they ask you about rape, even if they ask you is like one of their opening questions, which is when pro-lifers really get like, you know, like suspicious.
This is the first question out of their mouth. Really?
Why? Right. Really? Really? Yeah. You're just making me think the Seth and Amy really thing on SNL. They go, really? Really? Here's what's going. They're doing the same thing that pro-lifers do, and we teach pro-lifers to do.
Yeah.
Okay?
That you should do. That you should do.
Totally do. Okay. So here's the thing that we teach pro-life people to do. We teach people to early in the conversation, try to find common ground. Point out the common ground when you can. It's going to really, really help the conversation. And so early on in my conversation with a pro-choice person, I am asking them what they think about late-term abortions.
Yes.
This is like my first question. And I'm doing multiple things there. One, I'm trying to find common ground because most pro-choice people are opposed to late-term abortions. Not every pro-life person knows that, but like every time the polls happen, and polls on abortion can be kind of all over the place,
right? Because
it really comes down to what questions are being asked and exactly how they're worded. And a lot of the questions are not worded very well. So you can basically find you can find an opinion poll on abortion to make whatever point you're trying to make, okay? But pro-choice people tend to be opposed to late-term abortions. And so I'm asking a question that I know is probably going to result in some common ground. So that's great. But also, I am trying to explore their view. And so I've had this analogy in my head for a while now of like those video games where there's going to be a big map and it drops you in the middle of a map. And so the map is dark, except the little area around you right there in the middle. And everything else is just blacked out. And then if you start walking north, then some of that area of the map, you know, when you kind of hit tab or whatever, is going to like, now you can kind of see what's going on there. And you're only going to be able to know what's going on the map of the areas that you've explored. So Assassin's Creed or like
Age of Empires. Oh, one of my favorites. Hit me up on Steam.
Nice.
Don't Starve Together, Don't Starve. Like there's like that video game. So there's lots of video games like this.
The old ones, the Command and Conquer, Red Alert, like
you're
the strategy
searching for
games.
resources. You're like exploring the map and you're trying to figure out where's the edge, where am I in location to other things that I need or whatever. Yeah. And when you start a conversation with someone that you've never talked to them about abortion before, you're starting with that kind of map.
Yeah.
And so you're going to wander around.
You're like a cartographer. You've got to figure out what is their view.
Yeah.
And one of the easiest ways to start getting at their view is to define the edges. Okay. Where are they on late-term abortions? Because if they are actually like, no, I am one of those, I am all for all the abortions. How dare you limit one single woman from having a medical procedure that she wants to have? That's good data for me to have. That's going to affect where I go in the conversation. But if they're like, oh, no, I'm just like up to 20 weeks or whatever. Okay, that helps me. It's still, I don't know much yet, but I'm no more than I used to. They are against some abortions. Okay, what about less than that? I'm trying to get a sense. And what about the reasons? Like I'm asking questions to be able to get to a point where I can actually rephrase to them what I think their view is and have them agree with it.
Imagine if you invited a friend to have coffee and talk about abortion with you. You were able to pull that off. You sit down with your coffee and your first question to them is, so give me an idea of what legal abortions you support and which ones you don't. Do you support late-term abortion?
Right.
And they go, really? That's the first question out of your mouth? Right. That's like 1% of abortions.
Right, yeah.
Only 1% of abortions after 20 weeks. Like 1.3%, really? Yeah. Marginal case? Marginal case. Like, Oh,
I'm
I would
so
be
glad.
so bad.
I'm so glad you
bad.
brought that up
Yeah.
because you need to understand, pro-lifers, that's not most of the abortions. Most of the
Right.
abortions are first trimester. So,
Yeah.
so when I ask about late-term abortion,